Fuck it. Let's get into it then. All right. I had a... Hello. Yes. You know what I've been really listening to lately? You know what I've been messing around with again? Oh my God. And the way that the relevance of music from like around 2018 is 28. I'm realizing a lot of albums that I'm listening to lately are from 2018, and they're sort of like responsive, reflective of like the post 2016 moment. And it's like reactive in a way that feels like more urgent. It feels like the type of art that I'm seeking out today. And this is one of them. Here we go. You would think I would have it ready because I started the recording, you know what I'm saying? But check this one out. This whole album right now. If you know me, you'll know I am a parquet courts head, have been from the start. This is Wide Awake.
I'm wide awake. My soul woke 'cause my brain never pushes the brakes.
Here's the thing. This whole album feels like it could have been written simply yesterday, because guess what? When you do not challenge white supremacy, it does continue. They have a great song in this album called Normalization. Should I play a second of it? Because I'm a DJ. This one's been getting in my head a lot, but it's like not as fun of an opener. Bing, boom. Like, and one could say that I started talking before my music, so it wasn't even an opener anyways. But this is a great one. Listen to this. Listen to these lyrics. And this is actually going to come up relevant in the rest of the episode. What do I call bullshit? A contemporary dilemma. Can I allow this? Great question. What am I thinking? Power conditioning. Anyways, I could keep going. Nothing is normal. Manipulated into believing. I'm exercising skepticism. Honesty is everything. Normalization, process reality. Let's get into it. Normalization, process reality, immunization of what goes on. Oh, they are good. Are they coming out with a new album soon? I love everyone. Okay, this is not what we're talking about. But I will say that there's a self-awareness to these white men in music. Andrew Savage, I think, is the main songwriter. There's a self-awareness in this album that I'm like, yeah, this was something. Hey, there was something here. He was examining some violence as much as a white man can in indie rock, punk music, and today. Anyways, what am I saying? Welcome to. She got into her like 2012 music journalism bag for a second there. Nobody cares. Okay, who was around then? Ever consider that was more than 10 years ago? Wow. I've been thinking about lately how I was lying about my. This is not what I thought I was going to talk. It's not on the board. I have been thinking though lately about about my lies. About my lies of my youth when I was doing music journalism as a teen, just trying to survive, just trying to have a good time. I don't think I harmed anyone, but I realize that people are still around, and I'm like, I wonder if they feel harmed. There's more on that, but those are my private, personal conversations of which I'll have with those people if they want to have them. But I'm sort of like, hey, if you happen to be listening and you knew me when I was a teenager pretending to be in my early 20s, sorry about lying. I was out of place. Okay, we're not going to get into... If you want to hear the depths of that, you could go back to the times that it was fresh when I was 21 in this podcast. And actually, please don't, because I'm a little scared. Sometimes I see the downloads. Sometimes I see the listens. I'm like, oh, people are listening to... That's an old one. Hey, oh, that's an old one. And I'm like, I can't bear to listen. But like, That's me. So if you're going back through I mean, I've told people, I've said, hey, the podcast has been so queer for so long. Also, pride, and go look at the people that have been on the podcast. I did say that on Instagram, but I always forget the implication of that, which is to listen to me so young, doing the podcast. But I'm sure there are things to laugh about. Maybe me and maybe me. But wow, we've got a board. Do you like my rock? If you're watching the visual podcast, yeah, that's pretty much a rock that's shaped like a heart. Okay. I have to pick it up and show you. This is actually really special to me. So if you, I'm really laughing at myself today. If you're watching the YouTube, which I feel like there's like, maybe it'll be 100 in the end. This is something that I don't share with everyone, but I'll share it with you. Thankfully I have so many other rocks that are very close and personal to me that like you'll never see. And that's my boundary. Cause some things have to be for yourself. But you can see this one. It's shaped like pretty much a heart when you think about it. Yeah, it's grounding. Yeah, I need grounding. Yeah, my nervous system needs regulating. Don't we all? Okay, why am I on here doing a solo podcast? Well, I'm reevaluating how to do the pod because of how I think I said before, I don't want to do my podcast. Well, first of all, I can't do my podcast out of my apartment because, right, guys, there's a ghost. The ghost is here in the pod and I don't know how to get it out. Should I back this up a little bit? I'm feeling a little bit claustrophobic. Feeling a little bit like, it's close. So the ghost is here, as well as I don't want everyone to come into my apartment. So this leads me mathematically to, I gotta not do my podcast in my apartment. I check my recording again to make sure. Now, people are wondering, everyone's wondering, does she have OCD? Does she have generalized anxiety? One of those, definitely. Anxiety, for sure. Did we do an assessment recently with my therapist for the good old ADHD? Did we come back? Now listen to this. I laughed out loud in her face. Sorry to her. Clinically significant. I love these terms. Yeah, I mean, your results were clinically significant. Hilarious. Anyways, I am talking about anxiety in therapy a lot, and wow, there have been so many times recently in the past few weeks where I've been confronted with a situation in which I watched, like almost outside of myself, the anxiety bubble and like all of the worst case scenarios flood to my brain in the space between knowing and not knowing about one certain thing or one response to a certain thing. And it's so interesting to watch your brain come up with all the reasons of why which you could have been the worst, and where it's like, well, I said this and they're never going to talk to me ever again. And that's that. and it's over. You've done it again, Rebecca. And, obviously but now the part of growth that I'm in is saying, Rebecca, don't be silly. What are the facts? This is not true. XYZ. Debunk the myth that you are creating in your mind of how you have been the most villain and all of the worst things that could happen to you right now are going to happen to you. And so then you do it, you debunk it. Great. Maybe it settles for a while. Does it creep up again? Depending on if you've just been in the house for too long. Probably. But I de-escalated myself at every turn recently. I'm going pew, pew, blocked. And it's like these things, these tendencies, I'm like, I think they were always there. I think they are worse now after, the vibes. The thing about, and I tell my therapist this, is the thing that's interesting about my little kind of brand of anxiety is like most of the origins of the anxiety do come from like, at one point it was true. At one point the worst thing did happen. Okay. But that does not mean, as the therapy would suggest, that it is happening right now. And that does not mean that the worst thing is always going to happen, because the worst thing happened those few times. Did they leave a mark? Did they make my brain Hypervigilant, survival mode, looking out for danger? Yes, of course. And I promise I won't talk about this every time. I didn't even mean to. Here we are. Oh, it was because I was talking about Iraq. Of course. What I'm here to talk about is real cultural events. They said Las Culturistas. What about Las Culturista? One time when I moved to New York, I went to a show at the Bell House or something, and Bowen Yang was like, oh my God, Rebecca, because he remembered me from doing reviews of Las Culturistas on AV Club. And sometimes it's remember. Sometimes it's remember. Sometimes it's fun to remember times of your life that were from before that were different. And we'll get into it. Like one time I was a girly writing about the other people, and then I said, I can't do that anymore. I have to be me. I have to be a caterpillar blooming into a butterfly. And you know what I had an image of earlier this morning? I'm laughing at myself today, and I'm being really personal. I'm kind of being like, you're my friend. Like we're just on a call in which I'm talking so much. Sorry, most of my friends will know it's a lot of my calls, okay? When I start, I can't. It's hard to stop, but then I try to check in. I had an image, a meditation I was doing, and that's on We're Trying to Stay Grounded, was making me think of the image of, now listen to how beautiful this is. I'm crying. Listen how beautiful this is. The image of the power. Okay, the power of like my like absolute energy of love and passion in this world. This power, and you really got to get on the YouTube for this visual, but I'm going to try to describe it. There are tears in my eyes. Real ones unlike Dylan's. We'll get into it. Dylan of Love Island. I've interrupted my own beautiful thought. The image of beautiful love coming from my heart, beaming out into the world, and then like going out and around to form actually. Butterfly wings. Get like imagine the energy coming from your heart goes back around to then it connects to the back of you to create your wings. Anybody needed to hear that today? So yeah, that's basically what I'm up to out here, just kind of like letting my love beam through my heart, become to be wings, and then I'm flying, and then I'm free. Oh, that's the goal. That's the goal. Woo! I really took over me for a second there. I hope someone appreciates. I hope someone's laughing or crying. I hope someone needed that visual. Okay, I'm talking about hashtag pop culture today, ish. You know. I almost wrote white supremacy on the board, but then I said maybe if you write white supremacy on the board, when people click it, people are gonna not click. You know, this is sort of what we're talking about. People always want to avoid white supremacy, and I'm just like, guys, you can ignore it, but it will still wreak havoc. And what I'm realizing more and more, as I'm almost a year into my time in LA, is that I guess if you're a white person who is benefiting from the structures of white supremacy, and especially if you're like a white leftist who sort of like recognizes the inherent wrong of white supremacy and the systems that protect them, but they are being protected by it, then they simply will not rise up to do the very uncomfortable work of abolishing it, you know, like hashtag duh. But I'm really, when I'm out here, I'm like, oh yeah, if it don't got to do with you, you really don't give a fuck, do you? And like, here I am trying to, you know, anyways, my therapist literally did like, unfortunately I'm talking about this in therapy where it's sort of like, am I wasting, first of all, what have I been doing? Second of all, have I been centering white people in my sort of like talks and posts and whatever, in the sense of like, am I literally out here trying to get racist to not be racist? And is that a waste of all of my time and energy? And is that also in some sort of way just reinforcing white supremacy? It's very tough and interesting. like to be like, well, I can't stand for white supremacy and therefore I should call it out when I see it. I can't stand for anti-blackness and therefore I should call it out when I see it. But like, yeah, who and what am I building towards and with whom and with what energy and time, you know? Considering all of these things and like some people are unmovable, unchangeable. Am I trying to revolutionize Hollywood studios, LA? Maybe. Is it pointless? Maybe. Like maybe people have their dreams and they don't want it to be interrupted by how their dreams have been sort of co-opted by the Zionist state, right? These are all things we're getting into. I'm sort of doing when you write an essay and in school and in the first paragraph, you're kind of giving a preview of the essay. I guess that's what I'm kind of doing right here. And if you don't think this all has to do with Love Island and also the Knicks in a way, you're not out here connecting the dots. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into the the fun stuff first. Okay. Yeah, I've been watching Love Island. But I will clarify that I skipped a bunch of episodes in the middle because here's the truth. I just looked over at my cat and he was very sleepy. Cute. Here's the truth. When I started Love Island, now I wonder if people are rolling their eyes at me. And if you're rolling your eyes, put your hand up in the chat. When I started Love Island, I said, okay, when are they going to be pushing this season? And I started the first episode. And immediately I had like very, very young girls talking about like, yeah, I want to settle down, find my man, like start to have a family soon. And I'm like, soon? I mean, you're like when you're like 25, whatever. I was like, there were things about the girls' interviews that were giving, okay, so we're pushing some trad wifey, some conservative values. Like none of this is very new from any of these reality shows, but okay, whatever. Noted. The second thing that was noted was Sean the cop. Now, this is why I became behind on the episodes, because when they introduced Sean the cop, I said, now what are you trying to do to me? Now, what are you trying to do to me? You know, I don't want this. I was like, they better get him out. I paused the first episode and then I literally just like didn't watch it for a couple weeks. And then I was like, all right, let me see what they're doing with all of this. I picked it back up. Thankfully to finally see, it took far too long, but to see Sean kicked out. But, you know, it was valuable information to see kind of like his vibe and what they were saying. And like Officer Sexy Pants, you're really making me vomit in my mouth. Anyways, that's not necessarily shocking, but noted. If you thought Love Island was going to be immune to propaganda, you were wrong. It's everywhere. It's everywhere you look. We'll talk about it later. So, okay, that was the first thing. and then basically like I got so far behind that I skipped a bunch of episodes to become up to date. But I think, you know, I've seen what was relevant. And what I'll say is it's scary out here. It's scary out here. The propaganda that they are pushing on this show is so extra evil this season that it is sort of like, it's only shocking in how on the nose some of it is. And I guess I'm shocked when I see how some people respond to things that like, oh yeah, they're succeeding because they're tapping on a population of people who are already anti-Black, who are already misogynistic. Like they have chosen these men and women to perpetuate something they always do. And I feel like this season, let me put all my notes. I forgot I had notes. Yes. Okay. Like, well, really, let's get in. So the Anaya and Casey little moment of which she apologized for getting in his face and disrespecting him. It's really hard for me to engage with any discourse that is trying to act like Anaya is the aggressor. And it's just like the blatant misogynoir, the blatant sort of expectation for Anaya to take KC standing and raising his voice at her. And I rewound the tapes. Okay, he is he's getting closer and closer to the girl's space, and it's really just, it is so expected for a woman to just stay small and to not defend herself. And like when a woman does defend herself, when a woman does dare to reassert her space, and yeah, even maybe back him back into sitting down, that she is like blamed for it. And she is the angry black woman trope is just, you guys are the way that you guys are doing it. And you guys, I mean, just like the people that I'm seeing, people are. And it's like, obviously this that stuff is very obvious to me, and everything that's been going on with Anaya has been really tragic. I really feel like this show has just been putting out sort of like black trauma porn. It's just like, how often can we watch Anaya in pain, as a story? Like her story is her rejection, is her in pain, is now her apologizing. Now another part of her story that gets to be highlighted and platformed is like her apologizing for taking up this space. And like, I think I will post a reel about this, or maybe this is the reel, but like, this is what is so concerning to me about the messages that Love Island is pushing, because they're the very obvious messages of like thin superiority, body fascism, white supremacy, that are like obvious. And then you also have things like this that are like, to me, the message is, if you stand up to a man, you better apologize. If you stand up for yourself against a man, it's disrespect. Even if a man has been harming you for like weeks and lying to you and disrespecting you, even if you just watched him sort of dehumanize you, even if he has been acting like you were property that owed him some sort of sexual favors, and that you were, desexualized because you didn't put out, even if all of that is happening, apologize for the disrespect of you standing up for yourself and I guess getting in his face. And I'm not judging her. I'm judging this show because I know that the show knows exactly who they're casting when they cast it. In the same way that they know who Casey and Sincere are and Corbin is and Alana was, like, they also know who Melanie is. They also know who Anaya is. They also know who Kenzie is. Like, they know how people are going to move in response to each other. And I think they know that Anaya is the kind of girl who would feel like she needs to apologize for doing that. And I think it's a really convenient message. I think the other messages of the show have all been about women being subservient. They have all been about upholding very old school patriarchy, and the way that this show has really, really, normalized these tactics of abuse and manipulation. Like, I know people throw the term gaslighting around all the time, but like, we have seen it multiple instances on this show. And it's not just, gaslighting isn't just lying to someone, right? Gaslighting is acting like the other person is crazy for believing their truth, which is the truth. And manipulating someone to believe a different reality than is the one that they know is true. The one that they know is true. Like, it is crazy. If you've ever been gaslit, you'll know it's like, but I feel like but I did say this, right? and I meant it like this. But he's saying that I meant it like this, but like he's saying it so sure. He's saying it so sure, and he's acting upset that I won't admit to his truth. He's acting so crazy, and I'm actually, first of all, now I'm nervous because you're acting so assured of your reality. Am I fucking crazy? He's basically calling me, am I crazy? I mean, I might be crazy. Maybe I did mean it like that. Maybe, I mean, he's the one that experienced it. So then maybe, do you know what I'm saying? I'm going to stop now. I'm going to stop now. Gal did it. All these people have done it, right? And this fake accountability of just sort of being like, yeah, that was wrong and I was bad. I did the bad thing. Sorry, I did the bad thing. Whoops. It's really, really manipulative. And it's really, I so hope that Melanie gets out of her sincere situation. But the way that she was crying at the end of the episode, and the way that even it shows how much doubt she has as she's trying to assert her self-worth. All these people are around her saying, no, yeah, he fucked up. That was bad. That was bad. That was bad. But he really likes you. But he really likes you. And patriarchy, white supremacy, and everything that Love Island is pushing is telling Melanie and Anaya and every fucking woman on that show, well, you need to be chosen in the end. You want to be chosen in the end. And I think it's beyond like whether or not someone's thinking of winning or you know, of course they all like have this in the back of their head, but like this is the message of the show is be a good girl and forgive. Be a good girl and apologize. Be a good girl and admit, yeah, I was being a slut and now that this is me talking about Kenzie. The thing with Kenzie, like I'm not the number one Kenzie fan or defender, but what's going on with Kenzie is also loco because it's like, now all of the men they need a woman to become the villain. They have no villain on the woman's side and they have so many villains on the men's side. So they say, okay, great. And production did this and the show did this, right? Like, okay, now we're going to show her, you know, being crazy. And now my cat's here, flip flopping and whatever. And I'm not saying she did it good or graceful, but I do feel that she was honest in every, like she was never closed off with anyone. I'm pretty sure she always said that she was exploring these other connections, right? Whatever. These men now being like, well, wow, Kenzie was basically a slut. Kenzie was like double standard much. Kenzie did the same thing and she disregarded all of these men's feelings and she is bad now. And she is bad. And we actually really liked it when Kenzie was a slut, when it benefited us. Like we love when the girls' sexuality, you know, when the availability of their bodies for us, the men, is easy access. We like really like that for us, like when it benefits our narrative. And the moment that it stops benefiting our narrative, which now that the boys have been so exposed on movie night, it no longer benefits their narrative. Yeah, now you're a slut. Now you're a slut, and you're evil for hurting poor white man Dylan's feelings with his fake white man tears. I really can't stand this man and his performance. I've already popped off of that on Instagram. I hate the guy. Wow, I really, and the thing is, and that's a part of the whole like fucking analysis too, though, is like the way that this show is trying to convince you that his fake tears are real is supremacist. It is white supremacist. It does not discount the horrible things that Casey has said and done. It does not discount that to also acknowledge the way that he is that. And that's the thing. Even in the end of the episode, Casey's still not even painted that much as a villain. All right. Literally, they are like, that was good for you that you had that conversation. Da, 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 da. He's still even painted as that much of a villain. But still in comparison, the benefit of the doubt that like this show is the way that this show is literally using music and editing to like try to convince us that Dylan is feeling these feelings and he's not actually just being a manipulator, pretty much forcing Kenzie into a closed off thing. Because if not, she's bad girl, but not in the sexy way anymore. So it's all just very convenient. And if we're watching these shows, if you're watching Love Island, because nothing I'm saying is new, especially if you are following Erica Hart on Instagram or reading Erica Hart's book, Nasty Work, of which I am. I'm a very slow reader, but it's such a good book and you really need to check it out. Erica is doing all of the best analysis, and I literally, I could not be watching this show if I did not have another voice on the other side. Also saying all of the things plainly that they're very wrong. And I think that these shows are useful for that in the sense that reality shows, whether highly produced or not, and that is the point, because reality shows are a microcosm. Let me say that again. Reality shows are a microcosm of real life, even in the way that they are produced, because it's like you have real life, and you know what produces real life? Like, who's the executive producer of real life? White supremacy. Okay. And it's the same fucking rule in Love Island. So the way that it perpetuates and the way that rape culture perpetuates on that show, it is the same way that it perpetuates in real life. And the like low key, manipulative, abusive behaviors that we've seen. Can I say the pie challenge or the cake throwing challenge? I saw someone else say this, and I was like, that is really true. And that is what was sitting so horrible with me, is like low key normalizing just like kind of violence against women. Now you'll say, oh, Rebecca was a cake. These are girls with their head propped up under a fucking thing, having men, some of them who are angry at them, throwing stuff at their face. I don't give a fuck if it's a marshmallow or a fucking cake or a fucking rock. Like, that is fucking weird. That is gross and weird. And to have it after, all of this drama, like, you are asking, what you are wanting is for the men, and you even say it like in the fucking dialogue, like in Ariana Madix's shit, like, you're gonna get your revenge, and the revenge is like throwing stuff at each other. It's very like, it just reminds me, and I hate to say it, but it's like, yes, everything is simply this deep. But it reminds me of being in my relationship where I rationalized with myself for so long, like, well, he doesn't hit me. 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 He throws stuff. Oh, yeah, when he's angry, he throws stuff. He throws stuff around me. He breaks stuff. But he doesn't hit me. When you're doing that rationalization in your head in your relationship, things are already too far gone. And this type of stuff, not too far gone, you can get out. I did, but like they've crossed that boundary, right? Like I'll hate to break it to you, but I'll do it every time I guess I have to and can. Like when that type of expression of anger has entered the home, it's not safe anymore. And when people say like a throw can turn into a push, can turn into a hit, like that is true. Like it's just, that's true. So what are you normalizing? What are you saying is haha okay with that challenge? I can tell you if I was in that I would feel very fucking like it would not be funny to me. It is not fun. I would not be surprised if those girls are having flashbacks of cake throwing in their face. It's not good. It's really not good. Yeah. Anyways, anything else? Let me look at my notes again. Now I have my cat on me, kind of like immobilizing me. All right. I have so many notes on things. I have notes on other stuff I want to talk about, but that's gonna be another day. Okay. Yeah, I mean, really, your hatred towards black women is really wild, and you really and it's disgusting every time I see it. And also just like on that tip, like thought experiment. What would the reaction of these things be if Casey or just like a black man were standing and yelling like at a white woman? How would people respond to that if she stayed small or if she got big? I just wonder. And the thing is as a woman, there's no perfect option for the response to harm from men. And I just want to clarify, I'm not even calling yelling harm. I'm not even calling Casey abusive. I'm not even calling, standing up and yelling as inherently aggressive or violent. I think that these things, it's a case, like everything, and this is why we're abolitionists, these are case by case basis. But in general, this is what this reminds me of, is there is a woman being harmed in an interpersonal relationship one way or another. What is the best way to respond? Especially if you're feeling like physically threatened, because you stay small, you're not that doesn't protect you. You stay small to try to stay protected. You stay small to, maybe if I don't trigger him more, or, but that still doesn't protect you. That's not a shield. You might still get harmed. And then you stand up for yourself and you do what maybe Anaya did, and that's still threatening. And you're still not necessarily safe. So like, when there are no good options for how to stand up for yourself towards male aggression, can you realize that the male aggression is the fucking problem? And that's why, like, anyone trying to argue in the comments of my stupid Love Island reel, trying to specify, well, she got into his fate. Can you not look at cause and effect? She would have nothing to respond to. She would have nothing to defend herself towards if he didn't start escalating. If he and it's always him trying to be heard when he's not even saying anything. When he's not saying anything. It doesn't even. Anyways. I guess I'm glad he said that it was cringe. But like, that's what I'm saying. The fake apology thing of like being like, yeah, that was bad. We'll see how he moves now. But it just feels like the way that all of these men on Love Island and the world over get to just continue to perpetuate the same stupid bullshit. The same fucking anti-black, violent bullshit. The same anti-woman bullshit. Louis C.K. can fucking do what he did. He's backing at it again. This is what happens when you get to just say, sorry. Because the world does not give a fuck about women. Because Love Island is an encapsulation of how white supremacy and patriarchy together discard women and their bodies at such alarming rates. And black women at even more alarming rates. Trans women at even more alarming rates. Black trans women, the rates are very alarming. It's not a fucking joke. It's just fucking true. I feel like sometimes I say stuff and I'm like, do I say it so cavalier, like insensitive? And it's just like, I hope no one thinks I'm insensitive. It's just that the plain fact of it all becomes so exhausting that it's hard to even continue to figure out how to express it in a way that also encapsulates how pedestrian it's become. And I don't want to normalize that. It's very important and disgusting that Black trans women are killed at the rate that they are in this country. The end. Point blank, period. Okay. On being a woman trying to express herself, I want to talk about this a little bit. And with that, I also want to apologize to hot girls around the world, which I started to do in the last episode with Charles Gould. Check it out. But I really want to get into today because, all right, I never considered myself a hot girl because frankly, I wasn't. I wasn't a hot girl. I wasn't really treated like a hot girl growing up. I said, that's us versus them. I'm us, they're them. I understand to have this conversation, I have to once now call myself a hot girl. The thing is that I didn't decide it, other people did. And that's in and of itself the problem, right? I've had my little glow up meaning escaping of abusive relationship and toxic lifestyle that was killing me slowly on the inside out. And went back into the sun and started caring about myself and loving myself more. And then guess what? That just makes you different and people start to treat you differently. I've also lost some weight. And that is always interesting. I lost some weight, not on purpose, really. I stopped eating I stopped buying red meat because of my PCOS. I realized that was one of the things that could make you be feeling worse. And I was eating a lot of it and I stopped eating that. And that made me feel a lot better. I just started eating better for my PCOS. And also I don't have a car. So I walk a lot in the sun. And yeah, I guess I've maybe lost some weight since I've moved to LA. It's always weird and gross when people tell you that. It's always weird and interesting and gross when you start to get more attention. And that is in line. I mean, I think it's not just that, I think it's an amalgamation of things, whatever. I'm on my hot girl shit, as in, like I said, I love myself now. Or I'm working on it. And I'm like, and that's the thing. Sometimes loving yourself means washing your face every day. And sometimes you weren't doing that before because you didn't love yourself as much. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. Body fascism is a real thing. Thinness should not be the goal. Health should always be the goal. I always thought I was fat growing up because of how my stomach wasn't this flat. And I grew up with low-rise jeans and everyone's stomach was this flat. And no matter how many hours I was dancing, my stomach would never be this flat. My stomach has never been flat. My stomach has always had just a little, because that is my body. White supremacy and thinness are intertwined. I do not aspire to this. Get into it in Erica Hart's nasty work. Anyways. But as someone who is now, it's both like whatever hot, feeling like people are desiring you more. That's one part of it. But it's really just like being more in my body as like a woman. Like a thing that I think I avoided for so long. Like I didn't really have to confront until I got like punched and until like people started to and I talked about it last solo episode. Like people have always treated my body as like a sexual object, right? Like in the cat collie way. But now like people are approaching me with a little bit of a familiarity and a little bit of an entitlement that no me gusta at all. Like sometimes I do want to just be a girl in a space doing her thing. Actually, most of the time. Because I'm a funny, friendly person, people love to be like, like I'll say like, no, I'm like for real, like a loner. And they're like, no, you aren't. I'm like, I am alone and I would like to be actually. Just because I'm charismatic doesn't mean I have to always share it with someone. Sometimes that's exhausting. Sometimes I want to share it with myself. Sometimes I want to sit in the park with my laptop, with my little book, with my little notebook, with my little binoculars looking at my birds, with my little joint. And maybe I even want to do it in a fucking bathing suit because I want to bathe in the sun because I like being tan. And I found out that being in the sun makes me like myself more. Maybe I want to do that for myself. And maybe I don't want to be approached by you, a man that I don't know. Or maybe I said something to one time. This is a thing that is happening to me more and more and more. And I really fucking hate it. I really hate it. And this is as someone who like loves community and wants to connect, but it's like, that's not what's happening here. That's not what's happening here. And while I think that like, you know, yeah, we all gotta be loving and chasing our hearts and stuff. But it's like, there's a thing of self-awareness of like, sometimes a girl's just trying to be a girl alone. Sometimes a girl's just trying to be a girl alone. And she's giving you no signals to come over here. No signals to come over here. And it's this weird thing that manifests both like in my real life, just like being out and about and online and just like in my life. And like, I have these opposing feelings and they're both very strong. They're like icy hot. You know, you put on icy hot and it's like, hot and then it's icy, baby. But they're strong as fuck. This is how it feels in my body and my mind, where I'm like, I have a deep desire to express myself. I have a deep desire to say, you might notice being on a podcast of me, here I am talking for 47 minutes on my own. I have a deep desire to express, and I have a deep desire to express, yes, and in a naked way, in a very like open, honest, vulnerable way. And then I also have the deep desire to be absolutely invisible. Please leave me alone. Absolutely invisible. Please leave me alone. Don't ever look at me one time. I'm trying to find the balance between these two because neither one alone will get me what I want in my life. And I do think my dreams require me to be expressing in that way that where I don't feel like I'm being seen, and especially in a way where I don't feel like I'm being seen by like people who scare me, men who scare me, you know, or just like people who are ready, willing, and able, and at the edge of their seats to willfully misinterpret me or whatever, you know. I have a lot of trauma around willful misinterpretation and like people taking me in bad faith and whatever. And yeah, I just think like, dang, I do think a lot of like cis men don't really have to think about this. I'm just like, this is a lot of, you know, I hate that I have in the back of my mind all of the ways in which being a woman can come back around to hurt me, and not like, you know, people wielding that against me. I'm just talking about violence. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm scared of every man who comes up to me like in the park and I'm scared that they're going to do violence onto me. I'm not saying that, but like, a little bit, or at least like I have that feeling more than I did before, and it increases as I become more and more. I guess as more and more people want to access me. I don't know what to do with all those feelings, but know that if I'm ever really expressing myself honestly and truly, like it's scary. It's scary always to do. It's always scary to do. It's always scary. And I wish it wasn't. I wish to understand. I wish to know what it would be like to just be like, yeah, I'm going to put this thing out. I'm just going to sing from my heart. I want to feel like whatever it's like to be that guy from the movie Obsession. I'm not going to watch it. Have no interest. Too scary. And I can't. And all right, here we are. Enough about me and my fears of being seen. Let's get into Hollywood, baby. It's been about time that we have to get back into the Hollywood groove, which is to say, I need to criticize it all. Okay, let me get comfortable. I'm like, let me take my slides off. I got to kind of settle into this one. Oh, whoa. Oh my God, the recliner came out. Guys, it's chaos and commotion in the studio that is this corner of my fucking apartment. Okay. Hollywood, baby. I need it over. I need it done. Okay. So I'm going to pose something. And I will be posting this on Instagram. This is the clip. Do you ever feel like you have dreams that you always had since you were even a little tiny, insert what your gender is, your identity, of course. Do you ever feel like when you were a little, insert here, and you first had the spark of the idea of the dream of making movies and TV, acting and writing and directing and shooting on the camera? Hey, maybe you want to do set design, all of these things. Do you ever think about having that dream, and then you have that dream, and then you grow up and you try to pursue that dream, but then has this ever happened to you? You're confronted with the fact that all of the places and spaces that you imagined your dream in, you're saying, wait a minute, it's built by the bad stuff. It's bought by the bad stuff. It is all here to perpetuate the agenda of the Zionist entity. I don't want to do that. Do you ever feel this way? I feel this way every single day. And I think a lot of us do. And I think that we have been given like two options. This is what it feels like as someone who's been out here for almost a year now and having these conversations with a different swath of people. It's sort of like, well, that's the way it is. I don't know how you unravel it. You take their money and you do what you can with it. We've had this discussion on this very podcast. There's sort of that one where it's like, but you still do have to compromise. Like, I still do have to slap my name next to Amazon or any of the others, bad ones, Paramount. Or like, sort of like, then I guess you can't have that dream anymore. Sorry. You try to make something indie. And even when you try to make something indie, like it's sort of cascade, the bigger it gets, the closer you get to all of the evil corporations of which you were trying to avoid when being indie. And even the things that were indie, like the things that were indie, how long are they going to stay indie, and how, or are they going to become A24 bought by Josh Kushner? So it's like, okay, what do we do? Give up on your artistic dreams. Say, you know what? Actually, that was always really indulgent of me, and I'm going to give that up and work at a nonprofit 501(c) or get into electoral politics. Boo! We're not a fan of electoral politics here. Like, for me, I can't see it. For me, I can't see it. If that were supposed to be my fucking destiny and my dream, like, then that would have been it. I've always been inclined towards things of, I guess, quote unquote, social justice. These terms, because, this is not political to me. None of this shit is political to me. It exists in the space of this thing called politics. This is human. This is human to human stuff. Okay. It matters to me that masses of people are being murdered and dehumanized by fascist state that is propped up and reflected in our media. It matters to me to not perpetuate white supremacy just because there are only 3 corporations that are allowing people to like make movies and TV shows. That ain't it for me. Those can't be the options. I go through these I look through jobs. I look at the landscape, and yeah, I know I talk about it ad nauseum on this podcast, but it really is all propaganda everywhere. And even the spaces that would seem like more neutral, when it's all the same money, we are not doing. We're letting them use our bodies, our talent, our ideas, our stories, to wash the fucking blood off their hands, for all of the crimes of genocide everywhere. When Hollywood only gives you the option of resigning your body and your image and your talents to the like 3 companies that are funding and producing our demise, who are enforcing white supremacy across the globe, when Hollywood gives you only those options to engage with, then you disengage from Hollywood. And I really think that there are people of conscience who are like me, who have had their dreams and who don't know what to do with the entanglement of fascism and propaganda in the places that they once dreamed themselves to be. And I think we have another option. I know we have another option. Me and my friends are talking about it all the time. We are building it all the time. But it becomes more and more urgent to me as I see a casting call for the new Paramount Plus mini series for firefighters, for the mini series of about the day after 9/11, starring Jeremy Strong.
Okay, I looked it up straight from Deadline. The project about ailing 9/11 first responders' David versus Goliath legal fight for compensation is one of the first 2 series ordered by the streamer's new regime, led by chair of DTC Cindy Holland and head of originals Jane Wiseman, who call it, quote, the kind of ambitious, resonant narratives Paramount Plus will champion. Okay, all this coming out right after Epstein's basically proving to us, obviously, what we all always knew about 9/11, but okay.
When this type of propaganda is getting geared up, and you know they got me with that one as one of the OG Jeremy Strong heads. When this type of propaganda is getting loaded into the can, and when this merger goes through, and all of these things, much like the abuse of Love Island, are normalized, we cannot simply shrug our shoulders and say, well, I guess this is what it is, and we have to work with what we get. No. That is not how you change shit. I really don't think it takes that much to change everything. I really think it takes a dedicated handful, a very rich, successful artists of their field, finally saying, you know what, enough is enough, and I don't need all of this. And finally doing the work of deconstructing white supremacy and shedding the whiteness that their money has afforded them, shedding the privilege that money has afforded them, and redistributing it to people who aren't getting a fucking shot at saying shit, who aren't getting a shot to tell their stories that would combat the propaganda that is being shoved down our throats. You know, in the same way that AI is not inevitable, neither is fucking Paramount Plus. Neither is A24. None of these bullshit things that they're using against us are inevitable. But if we continue to be like, well, if I do this one Amazon commercial, then it'll fund me for like a year and then I can do my other stuff. When we keep doing that, like I hear your logic. I do. I understand it's tough out here. They have not given us many options, as I've said. But when we keep doing that, then we just Amazon just keeps getting you. Jeff Bezos just keeps getting you. Oh, I guess I'll just do the AI commercial and then I'll do my art that is powerful. Then the AI commercial still got you. Then the AI commercials keep happening. Then they keep becoming hip. Then it keeps becoming normal, you know? Like, I just know that there are a lot of people who feel similarly to me, but don't feel like they're able to move any differently. And they have to take the scraps that they can. And I don't think that's true. I think it takes a room full of very rich people spreading their wealth through projects and production companies that are fucking loudly anti-fascist, that have no interest in perpetuating white supremacy and propaganda. I think it takes a room full of rich people divesting from their own privilege to give it to others. And then just the masses finally being like, you know what? I'm not going to spend $30 on these fuck ass corporations and their frankly not good stuff. And I know that they're going to be feeding me Zionist propaganda bullshit. So I'm not going to give them my money anymore. And I'm going to spread this fucking $30 between like 3 creators that make me laugh. And I'm going to help them try to make their stuff because I would rather see that anyways. I think it's not that complicated. And I want to present that here. And hey, comment your project below. You got a strictly anti-fascist, anti-racist, fucking anti-misogynist project from your heart, and you need money for it, and you don't want to take a job for like the Home Depot because their money funds ICE, but you need to pay your rent, but you want to make your project. Comment below, and then hopefully maybe someone with money will give you money, you know? Because this is really what happens is like, I'm broke as fuck. I'm working a part-time job to semi-survive. I'm avoiding all my bills. And there's stuff I would like to make. And I know that, yeah, probably if I auditioned for like all of the commercials that I see that want some ambiguous curls, maybe I would get that money and I could fund it. But then they got me. They used me. I don't want to be used. I don't want to be fucking used. That's the thing. It becomes extra super triggering to me also because I'm just like, my body, my choice. I don't want to be used. I don't want to be used. And you know, and especially for these smaller roles where you're like not seeing what the full script is and you're like, I want to just audition for something. You're like, but I don't even know the ways in which I'm going to be used. And you know that these corporations are choosing you for a reason, and it's never a good reason. It's not a good reason. The Knicks. Next topic, the Knicks. The Knicks won, and I want basketball, like everything else, to be free from the corporations. Basketball is another example in which how all of these 3 corporations are funding our demise, and they are using our talent to distract us and to wash it and to fund it. That fucking sucks. I'm over it. I hate it. I need more people to stop. More people who have power to stop. But that's not actually what I'm talking about with the Knicks. Really what I want to talk about with the Knicks is how the parade, the victory in the streets of New York City after the Knicks won showed me so much. One, it exemplified there's safety in numbers to do fuck shit when there's safety in numbers. You can do a lot of stuff when you're with a lot of people. And the NYPD, the 7th largest military in the world. The NYPD, bigger than some countries' military. Even they could not actually contain the masses that was New York after the Knicks win. Now, I saw some takes that were being like, wow, you guys can come out and pretty much riot for a basketball game and not genocide. I don't disagree with this take. I mean, of course, but this is what I'm saying. I want to represent that take in a more invitational way, or I want people to understand the gravity of this. I want people to look back on this and say, look at all those people in the street. Ungovernable. What could this mean? Now, I'm not saying this is also a thing I will say is pretty much kind of unique to New York. The way that New York is landscaped, you know, the way that it is designed, the way it's clustered and close, and you know, this is a thing. You can't have this in LA, right? Like, I mean, things are so spread out in California, but that's just to say New York. A very sympathetic mayor, and you've got a lot of numbers. And that NYPD has been doing some really naughty stuff for a very long time. I mean, I do think we need to abolish their asses, as I've been saying for many years now. Just consider what it was like to be out in the streets with your fellow man. Consider how much. That's all I'll say. I think that's my last culture catch up. Abuse is everywhere. We are being abused by the companies, and if we stand up for ourselves, they might yell at us and say that we were aggressive, like they're saying to Anaya. But don't let that stop you from saying no, from saying, actually, no, I don't want to do this commercial. Actually, no, I don't want to take all of this money to whitewash the crimes of genocide. No, I mean, here's the thing. I am presenting these expectations to people who have no interest in, furthering Black liberation, frankly, or, which is liberation for all. I come to LA with here's my problem is I'm a lover, I'm a dreamer, and part of my lover and dreamerness is that I reflect until I wish to reflect until proven wrong onto everybody else the same similar values, where I'm like, well, surely everybody's here for life and love, and everybody's seeing the ways in which they're perpetuating violence, and surely everybody's trying to find a way out. Unfortunately, not true for everybody. I'm learning this. But I do think it's true for some, and the people that it's true for need to do it loudly. We need to continue to do it loudly, and get some of these rich people of conscience. Do they exist? I guess that's the question. Are you a rich person? Wait, where's the camera? Are you a rich person of conscience? Are you tired of fascism permeating its way? And it's not even permeating, right? Because fascism did build the propaganda machine that is Hollywood today. Cop shows began because they were being funded by the LAPD. Like, are you a rich person of conscience who doesn't like propaganda and doesn't like how all this stuff's going with the merger, and you really think like people should be getting to do art that is expressive of their unique perspectives, aka non-white perspectives, and do you also wish that people didn't have to choose between not pursuing their dreams and selling their body to the Zionist state to further white supremacy? Do you wish all of those things were untrue? Well, hey, I have a solution for you. Fund a person that is trying to make art that is anti-fascist and has nowhere to put it but online. Fund a person who would have been able to easily pay for their rent if they took the series regular job on the cop show, but they don't want to because of how they don't want to perpetuate white supremacy. And so now they're doing something else and barely getting by. Give that person some money, because maybe then they could pay their rent and pursue their dream as well. And their dream of expressing themselves in this way could also help other people to see themselves and pursue their dreams. And when you have a lot of people pursuing their dreams that are inherently decolonial dreams, like anti-fascist dreams, and they're expressing them out loud for the world to see, and the world is seeing more representations of like a decolonized mind and perspective on life, then guess what? You're funding the fucking revolution, baby. And I do think that it turns into real change. I'm pleading with this is the nicest I could ask the white person. I mean the rich person. Goodbye.
Normalization, collective witnessing, immunization of human sympathy. Normalization, prefab experience, immunization, perceived autonomy.